We are back, baby, with another reflection on the timeless wisdom of Vedanta, also known as Advaita Vedanta, the world's oldest philosophy in terms of continuous study. And today's episode, the reflection that I've been thinking about for the last several days since I saw a little round table with comedians. I've been thinking about this phrase for the last 3 or 4 days. And it's so brilliantly philosophical. I was cruising through YouTube and I saw this video of a few different comedians talking about their craft, about their careers. And one of them was John Mulaney, who used to be a head writer on Saturday Night Live and is a stand-up comedian. And the question was, what do you think about the success that you've had in finding yourself at a table like this with other comedians? And his response was so interesting. Instead of a response, kind of conventional response of, I can't believe, this, and can't believe to be at an event like this with comedians around me like this, he said, am I surprised by my success? 20 years of single-mindedly, myopically working at one single professional path. Am I surprised that it has been successful? He's like, and he just matter-of-factly said, no, I'm actually not surprised. I think anybody, if they spend 20 years dedicating themselves to something they're already naturally good at, then they will be successful. I thought that was so fascinating and blunt. And skirting the vice of false modesty was just honest with a viewpoint that is so Vedantically wise. Within Vedanta, within this 5,000 plus year old philosophy, there is this concept of Swadharma, which we've spoken about before in this podcast, which is Sanskrit for your nature. Swadharma, your nature. Dharma being truth, nature, law, cosmos, all of these things. You would need 2 pages of a dictionary to translate Dharma into English, because it means all of these different things all at the same time and different things in different contexts. But Swadharma, that is your nature. And the canonical text of this philosophy, one of them at least, the Bhagavad Gita, specifically says it is better to die into your nature than it is to live life paradharmically in a foreign nature. That will be not better for the community, not better for others, just better for you. You will have such an unlock of energy. Swadharma, your nature, when we surrender into it, it's action that generates energy within us, especially when it is aligned with the higher, aligned with what serves our community, what serves our better nature, what serves our family, what serves our region, our country, all human beings, all living beings, as you increase your ring of identification. But if you align your nature with your community, then energy that gets unlocked is unlike anything else you could experience. Meaning that it's when your nature and the nature around you harmonize. It's like the albatross, the example I give often, that on a single flap of its wings can travel up to 600 miles. And this beautiful, virtuous combination of its nature, huge wingspan, understanding barometric pressure and wind patterns, and nature itself, following the wind, following a breeze for miles off of a single flap of its wings. That is what we are all wired for. Now, if that albatross decided to paddle, how far could it go before tiring out? Could it go 600 miles on a single paddle? No. But when its nature is aligned with nature itself, it is beautiful, beautiful harmony. And it is inevitable success. The example in the Gita is Arjuna, as a warrior prince, who's one of the greatest warriors in the land, is met with a righteous war. A righteous warrior has been gifted a righteous war, and for 13 years he's been rallying his troops for this war, for this battle. And yet at the last moment, he's trying to come up with these really savvy arguments to get out of it, to run away, to abandon his duty and what he's been building towards for 13 years. He tells his charioteer, we should go study philosophy in the forest. We shouldn't kill our kith and kin because it is a civil war. His cousins on the other side that are completely unrighteous. He's saying, hey, let's just give him the kingdom. Let's peace out. This is a little too much, and let's head for the hills. Luckily, his charioteer is a bit wiser than Arjuna himself. And when John Mulaney said this, blunt truth, at least his perspective, he's not surprised by being successful at working at something maniacally for 20 years. Single-pointed, focused, determined effort for 20 years. He's not surprised by the success. But I think if we open our eyes to both the examples that the world around us or history gives us of people that surrender into their wiring, what they're wired for, and then they pursue that with a determined effort for years. Malcolm Gladwell gives the 10,000 hour example for example, with the Beatles. And he gives a handful of other examples of mastery when people submit into what they are wired for and do it for a very long time. The odds, and this is something that nearly every 20, 21, 22-year-old out there starts to think about when they think about their paths and their careers. I know with founders, the adage is that, well, only 10% of startups succeed. 90% fail. That might be the case for single individual ideas. But I don't know a single founder that has gone 15 years without a win. In other words, single-minded focus. Pursuing something with a determined effort. Year after year, you might fail in year 3. My whole 20s was filled with failure. Failed 3 times in my first 3 startups. But like I said, I don't know a single founder that hasn't found success if they keep on the path. Mark Cuban, the former owner of the Mavericks, billionaire, startup founder himself, he loves to say that all it takes is one. When it comes to founding companies, you could pile up 3, 4, 5 L's in a row, and then you get 1 W, and it pays for all the rest. And it makes it all worth it. And that viewpoint from John Mulaney, when you tie it into surrendering to what you're wired for and pursuing it myopically, if you do that, you won't be surprised by the success you see. You will feel like, yeah, this is actually well-deserved. And there are very few forces in the universe as powerful as feeling like you deserved what you've received. I'm not saying you take it for granted. But I know in my own entrepreneurial path, when I didn't feel like I deserved it, it kept me awake at night. When I failed and I felt like I deserved it, I actually got better sleep. Got a PhD in what not to do. A PhD in myself. A PhD in business, in life. You get a lot of PhDs when you put in that determined effort, and in the beginning, you might not see success. It might be a lot of failure. But what is that? That's a quadruple PhD right there. Life, business, yourself, what not to do. If we're talking startup, the startup game, it could be music, it could be art, it could be parenthood, it could be being a phenomenal teacher or professor. It could be a phenomenal bricklayer. But when we surrender into what we're wired for even more than the success that you're not surprised by 20 years in. Even more valuable is the energy that year after year, month after month, week after week, that energy that gets generated within you, especially when you align it to service for the higher, which could just be your family at start, then maybe your community, then maybe your city. When you align it to the higher, that's the ultimate unlock. The ultimate unlock of energy that is unparalleled by anything else we can experience. To feel in a groove, in flow, in alignment with our nature and nature around us. You want to make the odds of you loving what you do each day 100%? Don't think about the odds. Just surrender into what you're wired for. And in the next episode, we'll spend some time reflecting on how to figure out, how to find out what you are wired for if you don't know. Many of us have that voice in the back of our heads calling us to heed the path of adventure, and we feel that voice. Some of us, we don't know what that is, what our nature is. We may have forgotten our nature. And in the next reflection, we will dissect and analyze how to find out what your nature might be. But in this one, I just want to lay the groundwork. If you want to make the chances of your success and loving what you do each day 100%, reflect on this timeless concept of Swadharma. We'll see you next time on the Daily Vedanta.